Hey, what's going on YouTube? I said in this week's Ask an Old Mog video that I was going to do a little bit of discussion about the Fragment Select ticket situation, and one that was not necessarily going to be, sunshine and rainbows compared to the one that I put in the Ask an Old Mog video. And here it is. And so I'm going to try really hard to be as objective and fair and honest about how I feel about the situation, whatever that situation may be. And also want to share some opinions from other people that I've talked to about the Fragment Select tickets, and give a little bit of history and background on it as well. And then kind of share how, all the situation that has come out is changing the way I'm planning on using these tickets. Because I did say on Tuesday I had a kind of a specific way that I was going to be using my tickets, and that has changed now that we know what we know. But before I get into all of that, I just wanted to kind of throw all that out there. And so without further ado, here is the saga of the Fragment Select tickets, okay? So as part of the anniversary, we had parts 1 and 2 of the Player's Choice vote. Part 1 got us the guaranteed Neovision summons every week, which were fantastic. I loved that. And then part 2 gave us the options of either getting, Lapis or some random upgrade materials, or the one that ended up winning the vote. Part 2, select unit fragment login campaign, get a total of up to 300 unit fragments, vote for your favorite event, get a total of up to 300 unit fragments. No fine print, no asterisk, no, by the way, it means this. It just said, get a total of up to 300 fragments. So what came out of that as I, participated in streams and conversations with people in Discord, and all kinds of stuff, were a lot of questions, and people kind of like played this game of like, how are we going to get the fragments? How many per unit are we going to be able to get? Our premium's going to be in the list. Who's going to be on here? Is it going to be every unit ever, or what? And it just seemed like from week to week to week, there was a lot of good questions being asked, and a lot of people I felt like were very, very hopeful, especially with this coming off of the anniversary, which was so well executed, that people just had a lot of good faith in like what these Fragment Select options were going to look like. And like I said, that kind of went on for a while without us really knowing, what was going on. And then we got some news. We got news on the 8th of September that the Fragment Select was chosen, and everybody was pretty excited about that. And then we started to get some answers. We got this news on just this past week about this. We knew we were going to get them in the form of tickets. Okay, that's kind of cool. And that answered a lot of questions for people. So like, how is it going to be delivered in the form of tickets? We're not just going to buy them or like pick them one by one or something like that. And we see that we get them in the span of a month's time. We get tickets like on a daily basis of like 1 a day for a few here. And then at the bottom, we get 2 a day, as we go along. And people started doing some math. I'm going to be getting 30 tickets across the span of this time period. And I know I'm going to be getting 300 fragments total. So that should be, 1 ticket per 10 fragments. So we're getting even more information that we're kind of, taking some guesses at here. And then at the very, very bottom of this, we see, okay, who's included here? Oh, units up to Beach Blaster Olive, Dark Fina Warrior's Prayer. So that's a premium unit. We know there's premiums, Balthier, and more. If we read the fine print here, we see, fragments of certain units added to the game up to and including August 18th. So we have like a time frame for when this is going to happen. But we also see limited time and collabs are not included. That's kind of a safe bet. They're not going to be giving you Chow fragments or anything like that. So, that gave us more information. And even with that information, people were very hopeful for what this was going to look like. I had lots of conversations with people on Twitch about like, who are you going to be picking your tickets on? How are you going to be doing this? What are you focusing on? And people were just very, very excited about it. And then the news came out on Thursday of what this really looked like. But before I get into that, I want to talk about what the information that we had up to this point matters. So based on the information provided, players may have decided to forego running some units in the daily fragment dungeon to, get their units to a certain EX level. Because if they assumed, okay, I can just, use these fragments to get a unit to EX2 or EX3 or whatever, I don't need to run them in the dungeon. Or they might have decided, oh, I don't need to buy fragments with VIP coins or even lapis because I can just pick up fragments for this unit later. And the importance of that is that the communication that is provided to us about these types of events, they inform the decisions of all types of players. For everybody who's like not spending any money to players who spend a lot of money, this decision of like what you're going to be getting with one of the most valuable resources in the game for free, how it's going to work impacts their decisions, but especially players who are on a budget, people who are trying to decide, how can I get my Kresnik to EX3 so that I can use him in Clash of Wills since I have to have 16 EX levels? How can I use these fragments to like get me where I want to be in a creative way or an efficient way or something like that. And so that's why I feel like this matters. Back to the point though, we got the news that we got the news by looking at the fragments in the game, and I'll go ahead and go to the store. Here we go. We'll go to the shop. We'll go to the coins in the exchange shop. Here we go. All right. We see that, okay, sure enough, 1 ticket, 10 fragments. That makes sense. Let's go down to a premium, though. Oh, geez. 2 tickets for 10 fragments, so they're twice as expensive. And gosh, there's only 10 fragments or 10 bundles of tickets available, so I can exchange 10 of these tickets for 100 fragments or 20 of these tickets for 100 fragments for a premium. It's kind of not looking as good as we were hoping. Okay, and so they were all of them deceived, or at least misled, right? Premium units cost twice as much, so you may not get 300 fragments if you go after premiums. You're also only limited to 100 fragments per unit, so you can't get a unit from EX2 to EX3. And lo and behold, right, we've got all the way at the bottom, we've got Beach Blaster Olive as promised. But if we start scrolling up and we go back in time to about when the anniversary is, oh, wait a minute. Emperor's here. Kaito's here. Wyvern's here. Ishkal Immatal. Right here is where Sylvia and Wilk should be. They're missing, but later units are included in the options. Which was a big, big sad face for a lot of units, or a lot of players who were very, very excited to get their Sylvie to EX2, EX1 even, to let her be used in an option in content, or their Vilk to let them do, whatever it is that Vilk does. But with the limitations that show up here, players just couldn't do what they wanted to do. So I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. So there's no fine print, right? It does say, and I'm going to pop the picture right back up on the screen. It says a total of up to 300 fragments. It does not say you will get 300 fragments, that you will be able to use all 300 of those fragments on a single unit. It doesn't say any of that, but it does say up to a total of up to 300, which means if you decide to use them all on non-premium units, you will get 300 fragments. That is true. It does say certain units are included. And we assumed, maybe rightfully or wrongfully, that meant collabs and time limited units, because it did also say that, right? So I'll go back to it. Right, show it right there in the news. All the way at the bottom. Limited time and collabs are not included. It's only fragments of certain units. So it could be that Sylvie and Vilk are not included on purpose, but then that raises a question of why. Is there a reason why they're not included? and players who want to know the answer to that question are left in the dark. And there also has been precedent for premium fragments costing more in other exchanges, whether you're talking about buying them with VIP coins, other exchanges that we've had in the past. There's precedent for it. It just wasn't explicitly stated. And I think it's really easy to just see a total of up to 300 fragments. Awesome, especially when I know I'm getting, 30 tickets over the span of a month. That must definitely mean they're worth 10, and sure enough they are, but the premiums, whatever. So benefit of the doubt there. But I think that whole situation left a lot of players, not all players, but I think it left a lot of players really frustrated. Certainly the ones that I've talked to. I didn't get into the game yesterday right away because I was at work. But one of the players in my Discord, Moose, the very first thing they said, well, we got done dirty, because that's just the hot take opinion of when you first see this. It's like, this is not what we were hoping for. This is not what we were excited about. This is not what we were hoping for when we picked this option. So I do, I do resonate with some of that. It is frustrating. I think what's more frustrating to me than the actual situation of the fragments, more than anything else, is just a lack of clear communication. So many of you guys know, in my day-to-day life, I'm a therapist, and I spend most of my day talking to people about communication, whether I'm talking to individuals or couples. I spend a lot of time talking about communication. Communication allows people to make informed decisions. It allows them to have decreased frustration when an outcome does not happen the way they want, because at the very least they know what they were getting themselves into. They knew what to expect. And when it comes to a game like this, there are fewer hotfix changes that have to happen just because people are upset. But the biggest one I would hope that the developers would care the most about is player trust, support, and goodwill. Like I said before, coming off the anniversary, there was just so much hope and anticipation for what these things were going to be, and players were excited about it, and players were hoping that it was not going to be done in a way that would kind of leave them hanging. And most of those players who were hoping for that now feel left hanging. A question that I would ask all of you, and if you want to put this in the comments, I'm really curious to see what your opinions are on this. If you knew back when we were voting what you know now about how the fragments are dispersed and what this looks like, would you still have voted for 300 fragments? That's the question that I have for you, and that I hope anybody who sees this will share your opinion on that, because I really want to know. I'll go ahead and share my opinion on it. If I knew then what I knew now, would I still have voted for these fragments? Absolutely. I think that the Fragment Select option is still the best choice out of all of them. Would it have changed some of my decisions about what I plan to do with my fragments? Absolutely. So I said on Tuesday that my current plan at the time of what we knew was to spend two tickets on Esther to get my Esther, who is 19 fragments away from EX3. Go ahead and drop 2 of those on her to get her to EX3 so I can use her vision card to make her more viable for my teams in Clash of Wills, etc. Now that we know what we know, and now that I know it's going to cost me 4 tickets, potentially 40 fragments worth, just to get her the 20 that I need, I'm not going to do that. And in fact, I'm very much so going to not spend any of my tickets until the last minute, after I've had chances to pull on units for October, units for November, and see what comes out of those, because at this point I'm in pretty good shape for most of my Clash of Wills teams that I want to run. The units that I have for Clash of Wills are pretty much already all at EX3. Esther is an example of one that's not, but I'm close enough that I could just do it in the dungeon and save myself the struggle of trying to spend 4 tickets on her just to get 19 fragments. So that changes it, but I still think that it's a good option. Now I'm just going to spend my tickets in a different way, knowing what I know. I'm not bothered by the fact that premiums cost more. I'm not bothered by the fact that I can only get 100. I mean, I'm a little bothered by that. I would love to get, I would really love to get my Bulwark to EX3. I would really love to get Oliveira all the way from you know, 50 fragments to 300 or to 200 but I can't because I can only get 100 more. Not going to happen. So that's why I kind of want to wait and see what I pull in the next couple of months before I, you know, use these tickets. I'm going to wait until the end, basically. I still think this is good. I wish we knew more. You know, how hard would it have been to say, by the way, here's what you're actually voting for. You're voting for, you know, the option to pick up 100 fragments per unit, and premiums are going to cost more. That's not that hard. It's not. I think people would still have voted for it. Maybe I'm wrong. I just wish that I don't think it's that hard to just tell people up front, here's what you're getting. And there's been lots of situations lately where like a simple, like, by the way, news bulletin pop up could have really saved people a lot of frustration. Like the most recent one was when the fragments were accidentally resetting in the shop. You know, no doubt a big oops on people's parts. But like all they had to do would have been said, hey, oops, this is happening. And as a result, we're changing the way the fragments are coming. And here's what it's going to look like tomorrow. Here's what it's going to look like next week when we roll this change out. You won't be able to get your Tsukiko fragments as many as you want on day 1. You'll have to wait until day 4 when it resets again. How hard would that have been? Just to say, hey, by the way, this is happening in a couple of days. And there's been lots of times where like, hey, by the way, this is going to happen, would have been really great to know. And this is just another example of that. So more than anything, I just really hope that, you know, in the name of repairing goodwill and bringing the hope back that players have, the trust that players have in like not being done dirty, that this communication improves. Go back to the type of communication that we've had in the past. You know, the communication and the excitement and the good stuff that was going on during the anniversary. You know, bring that back. Just talk to us. Just let players know what's going on so they can make choices. Whether we're talking about free players or paid players, we want to know what we're really deciding about. We want to know, you know, with as much reasonable safety as we can, you know, what am I choosing to invest in? I know I can at any moment get another copy of Sylvie, but like now that I have her at EX3, I don't need to run her in the shard dungeon, and I don't need to use my fragments on her. But like, if I could have gotten them and I needed them, I would have loved to have known that rather than being surprised on Thursday and just find out, oops, Sylvie's not included for no reason, or heck, we're not including her for this reason. Here's why. And then players go, oh man, that's too bad, but at least I know why. I don't think it's that hard. So like I said, if you've got an opinion on this whole situation, and even if it differs from mine, like I said, I want to know the answer to the question, would you still choose fragments knowing what you know now? Drop that in the comments because I'd love to talk about it with you. If you're feeling frustrated, I'd love to talk about that with you too. I'm very open to hearing, you know, what you have to say about this as somebody who just cares about the game and wants it to be a fun experience for everybody. You know, let me know what you think, and we'll talk some about it. But yeah, that's all I got for right now. Be good to each other, take care, and we'll see you in the next discussion video. All right.